Hi everyone, so I decided to address a very common conundrum and question that quite a few of you have put forward, and something I hear every single week plenty of times, and that is why your habits or new patterns, desirable habits don't stick. And this is essentially a question of finding your kryptonite, because once you find your template, you find your kryptonite, and you can actually change it. You can root it out and reprogram it consciously. So you find yourself drinking all the juice, doing all the yoga, setting all the boundaries, voicing all your needs, doing all the meditations, and still you find yourself reacting in the same way. You find yourself getting frustrated with your partner. You stumped your toe on the coffee table this morning. You still get triggered when your father's name pops up on the screen. And you find yourself asking, why don't I feel any different? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm here to tell you, honey, that no amount of beetroot juice or abundance meditations or affirmations are going to give you the constant, desirable, consistent habit forms that you are trying to form. And the reason why is because as much as you should be proud of yourself and revere yourself for that effort, that dedication, that commitment and trying, it is 5% of you that is actually completely trying. And the reason I say this is because we're dealing with our wonderful genius subconscious. And the subconscious is about 95% of what runs the show. The subconscious is responsible for the reactions within the body when you hear a certain sound, a word, a smell, and it sends a response up to your brain and allows your body to react in the exact same way as the first time it recalls. It is a library, it is cellular memory, and it is honestly an absolute wonder, an absolute genius. But that 95% is not your conscious mind. It is entirely subconscious, and that is where your template lies, that is where your blueprint lies. So for example, if your template that was familiar way back, even if it's not conscious, if your template was to be familiar with being in a relationship where you need to constantly prove your worth and prove yourself for love in order to gain love, in order to gain affection, then the subconscious will constantly seek out and allow you to seek out relationships where you do need to prove yourself or feel that you need to prove yourself and act as such. And the only function of your subconscious is to keep you alive and to keep you safe. And fortunately, simply synonymous of safe is what is familiar. That is all. Safe is synonymous with familiar to your subconscious. So it's really about making the unfamiliar more familiar. If a nourishing, abundantly supportive, intimate, transparent relationship is what you consciously desire, that is entirely unfamiliar to 95% to that template, because it's still functioning on what feels familiar. If you were to walk into a nourishing, fulfilling relationship now, your subconscious would pull out all the stops in order for you to make it out alive, because it is unfamiliar territory and it doesn't feel safe in unfamiliar territory. And that is why you can pat yourself on the back in any way, shape, or form for all the changes that you are consciously trying to make. But we need to get that 95% on board with that 5%. And the only real way to do that is to jump into the subconscious, to find your blueprint, find your template, find what it is that is so familiar, and then get that on board with the 5% after we sift through, after we find all your kryptonites, after we find all your old beliefs and templates, and that blueprint, so we can change it. Imagine having 100% of yourself on board and aligned with what you are consciously trying to do. Imagine that. Imagine that. So this is what I say to you today. It's time to turn back. It's time to consider that what you consciously feel and believe is not the case in your subconscious. I constantly have clients that say, for instance, to expand on that example, they'll say, but Isabelle, you're talking shit. I know I'm worthy of a nourishing, fulfilling relationship where I don't need to prove myself. I am worthy. And I say, yes, honey, you absolutely are. But that is what you consciously feel. Yet your subconscious is still stuck in the familiar and old. And it is not as simple as simply changing that with affirmation, with different action, although that helps. We have to go back to the root. We have to feel everything again, and we have to make sure that there is nothing left. Once it is completely felt, the body needs to release it. The cellular memory needs to release it. It needs to know that it is safe without that, and make a new familiar reality, one that is nourishing, life-giving, fulfilling, safe and familiar. So that's all from me today. I hope that's helped. So dig, feel free to message, feel free to comment, and we'll get to more questions in a couple of days. All my blessings from yours truly, the Blueprint Therapist, Isabelle Meiring.